I went to see some Morris dancing in Brixton.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, I hope I'm not committing career suicide here.
Well, hello, bienvenidos a Cloud Native Media.
Anyone been on holiday? I went on holiday. Go anywhere nice?
There are no standards police.
So I went to Hull.
Not quite sure how it all got smoothed out, but I think there were some backroom meetings.
There was.
And a lot of beer drunk in San Francisco.
To watch more of these episodes, press subscribe on YouTube now.
Hello everyone and welcome to CNM Online on this wonderful 23rd of February 2026. Hopefully audio, if it's coming through fine. Hopefully we've got all of our last minute audio and video gremlins out of the way before starting today. So what I'll do is I'm going to click this button, and by the magic of the internet, we should have Paul coming on the line.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm well. How are you, Paul?
I'm good. I'm here at the SMPTE Young Innovators event in Salford. So we finally made it up north for all of the people who've always asked for that. And we're going to be talking to some students here in a little bit. Finding we've got a bit of a buzz with the background here, and it's going to be quite a fun event tonight, I think, as well. How are things with you, David?
And wet. It is. It started to rain again. The dry spell is finally over. We're back to normal weather. I'm really actually quite looking forward to hearing about what you've heard about today, what you've seen about today, and hopefully we have some guests lined up for us.
Yeah. Well, I think we need to find one of those in a second, David. But it's it's been a bit hectic sitting up here in the rain and everything. So let's grab someone and see what we can do. If maybe we can play one of those one of those videos while I go and get set up for the next one.
And
so I will speak to you in a moment.
Show me how to have played one of those videos before we set up. Okay, talk to you in a second.
Well, let's see what we can do. Hey.
Right, so Paul's off now to find our next guest. I was probably expecting there to be a row of people all ready to come on, but no, he's doing it live. So really, do a bit of an update. We do our general sort of cloud native news and media news. This is slightly different, slightly less structured, as you can tell. And so what I'll do is I'll give everyone a quick overview of some of the things that have been happening on the cloud native side of cloud native media. I think one of the big things has been the prevalence of this tool called OpenClaw. Some of you may have heard about this. This is a new wave of using AI, personal AI. It's the idea of people being able to use AI as a personal assistant. And someone's idea of how to do that is to essentially run it on your local machine, give it access to all of your accounts, add a number of prompts and add-ons and agents to this, and say, right, have access to the machine as if I have access to it. I think one of the added features of using a claw-based system has been that you communicate to this via your phone. So instead of using a computer or a terminal or something else, you're basically communicating it via your WhatsApp account or your messaging account. And it really is like this idea of virtual assistant. I've got a number of other things on this point I want to talk about afterwards and pick up later, but I do believe we are ready for Paul to come back. So I'm going to bring Paul back in right now. Excellent. Thumbs up. All good.
Hello. I'm here with Mark, and
hello.
Can you hear us all right, David?
We can hear you fine.
Can you hear us
Everything's
both?
good.
We
Yep,
can-
absolutely
we can
fine.
this.
Yep.
Absolutely
All over
fine.
to you.
Okay, cool. So, Mark, you just been here for what, half an hour or so?
Yeah, I think so. Around there, yeah.
You've had some good conversations.
I have mainly, as most of these events are like, they're very much networking. You get to rekindle people you've not seen for a while.
Yeah.
But this particular event is going to be more interesting because it's interesting to hear how today, and then what they're wanting to do going forward, where their passions lie. Because these people are going to shape where we're going next, right? It's not about the larger businesses or the management. These people fit into it, right? Their skill sets.
So are universities producing the right type of engineers?
It's difficult to say because of the industry's landscape is so varied, where you can go into a very high sort of cloud and software development sort of jobs, or you can go into traditional system integration type jobs. Both are still out there. Whether they're being taught the right things or not is debatable.
Well, it's difficult at the moment, isn't it? With I guess we've had cloud and we've now got the sort of explosion of AI going on, and I guess there's a real challenge with just trying to understand what skills are going to be needed going forward.
I think if they get learnt the basics, that's missing. That's still missing today. The basics are missing, as in like understanding where the video came from, how it gets there, and what to look out for when issues occur. So you can have the best software developers in the world or similar who create great, lovely software, great things. But if they don't know what's needed to make sure video and audio can pass through the cloud infrastructure in the right way, then they're kind of like looking in the dark. So the basics are still needed. And that's where universities come really key into.
And I suppose with the basics, even if it's an AI generated video of some sort, you still need those. You still need the basics of production and I suppose especially for live. I mean, I just think about how would AI can assist us making live productions, but like me, I think you've worked on live productions, you've worked in live sport, and it's very much I feel it's like a it's like a stage management discipline, isn't it? And it's a real putting on a show type discipline, a bit like maybe like we're doing tonight, right? Where you've got a queue time and you've got things that have to happen and you've got to have that level of reliability. And obviously sport doesn't happen on cue. You've got to be there and you've got to watch things and you've got to make sure that you're capturing those key moments as they happen. And if you miss them, sport doesn't do a pickup for you.
Yeah, and how many times have you been have in creatives created a storyboard and it's never gone to plan? How many times has there been a match and it's gone to extra time or overtime or for example, football match? You have the extra time during the halves. How does AI cope for that, for example?
Mm-hmm.
And it still doesn't stop when you see an issue occur on screen, like live, because let's be honest, money these days is being fed into live. So live sports and live news make the most amount of money, right? But you can't actually, when you see an issue appear on screen, you need to know what that is. And AI probably can't recognize that problem. It sees it as a problem and tries to think it knows what it might be, but maybe that's where the experience, and that's what you learn at university, the basics comes in.
Yeah, I guess so. And we've got obviously On Air coming up. Are you involved with that in October?
I'm not involved in that at all. No, I'm not involved in that.
But that's actually a great event for actually getting students from around the world involved in this live production, and actually doing it, doing proper live production and having experience actually being there and being in the moment
and seeing the problems that always occur when there shouldn't be any problems, right?
And do you think do you think this is about broadcast or is this about tech? And I guess this is where's the skills balance in terms of we talked a lot about operational broadcasting, but then we're getting if we think about technology, and software and all of those things. What do you think the what do you think the future is there? Because you have to know how good broadcasts are put together, but somehow AI isn't going to fill the whole technology gap, right? So what else is needed from the technology side?
No, if you say broadcast is like sowing seeds in farmland. That's broadcast, one to many, right? One to many. That's broadcasting. So what we're looking at here, okay, so it's no longer broadcast because anybody can do that. We're doing it right now. We are doing broadcasting because we're sending to millions, right? We are doing, anybody on YouTube is doing broadcasting because they're going one to many, right? However, what you're talking about is the broadcast tech we use today, and the broadcast tech is particularly specialist and particularly. I think I'll ask the question right in terms of what we need. So it's a mixture of both, knowing the underlying idea of how video and audio works and what causes it to break, but also an understanding, not exactly being an expert, but understanding around the tech that lives not just around broadcast but around in IT, to see how you can leverage that tech to help you with your broadcast.
Yeah, and I guess when we talk about things like cloud native, it becomes about what kind of cloud native tooling can really help us do things in a in a 2020s way, and not in I think a lot of the broadcast software that we see still in common use today feels very kind of almost last century, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it all does. All of it is last century sort of broadcast, and broadcast tech doesn't feel like it is new off the bat. However, that could also be down to operational things, right? A lot of people are very used to using a way of working, and to change that way of working overnight, something completely different, it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
And I guess changing the way we work in order to the way we build platforms, and I'm thinking here about we've got initiatives like TAMS, time addressable media. We've got the DMF. We've got all of those initiatives, and they are really going to help us start to bring that live experience in particular into that dynamic infrastructure where we can dynamically provision the what we require. And I've worked on the Olympics in the past and been out there with months worth of setup and months of configuration, and I guess there's this idea that actually if you've got the right templates and if you've got the right software ready to go, you could be spinning up within maybe not within hours, but certainly within days, you can be spinning up and testing a complete sports coverage rig, as much as just like you would do for an e-commerce store or for a fintech app or whatever.
Yeah, and I really look forward to TAMS. I think it's so cool. Like, the idea of it is amazing, but it always comes down to, you can put the best tech and make sure the system works flawlessly, but the interfacing needs to be as similar as possible for someone to use. And that's the problem we face. So maybe things look like they're straight out on the Windows 1995, but actually underneath, they could be very well written applications which work extremely well. And it's only because the interface is that, because we can't let the operators learn something new because they either don't want to or reluctant to or whatever it might be, or just ease of use, right?
Yeah, for sure. And so there's quite a lot of mileage to travel there in terms of getting the user experience right for the operators, and also getting and I guess this is always something that I struggle with is getting the tech teams building the infrastructure or building the technology, thinking about who's going to be using it, who's going to be sitting behind the operation desk, what do they need, what's going to make their lives easier, what's going to make the production better, and having that sort of idea of that sort of iterative rapid development in real time on this kind of stuff.
I mean, it's great that the tech people can make the best software in the world and have all these ideas. You can do this, and this. But if it's really hard to use and the features can't be found, you might as well just solve them a cardboard box.
Yeah.
It's simple as.
Yeah. So,
Paul, can I ask a question at this point? Yeah.
Hello.
So I really just wanted to. Hello. Hey. Yeah. So I just wanted to just reiterate what's being said there, that it's not just a broadcast issue. And you know, that challenge that you have in terms of broadcast moving into cloud native or using cloud native technology, we've got the same challenges in our industry with people coming through and understanding how to do systems architecture. Because what I found is that a lot of people obviously learnt their trade from aspects. You know, they got in, they built it, they understand the inner workings from the building. They didn't fail. They didn't learn from the failures. They learned from the building. And now with AI and other tools, that's removing that, that's automating that. So people are more further away from that. So really the only time they are learning about these situations is when there's a failure, which is obviously the wrong way around. And so
through failure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in knowing how the industry or how our industry is compensating for that, where things we move further and further away from the actual devices, the actual infrastructure, and how we bringing the next generation through with that expectation of knowing how this stuff actually works. You know, we want them to work in a modern way. We want them to use modern tools, but at the same time, we also want them to understand exactly what's happening underneath the hood. So how are we marrying those two?
How does it actually work in real time? As in, could you reiterate the question, David? Sorry, we missed a little bit of that.
Ha! No problem. So what I'm saying is that in broadcast, how is that being taught from a university onwards? Is there a lot more focus on is there more focus on the tangible hardware, on the practical aspects of it rather than the theory?
I see what you're saying. Is there a lot of focus on the practical aspects, the hands-on, the hardware, as opposed to, I guess, the more software-focused, cloud-focused skills?
I guess the idea, what you're saying is the focus on the hardware which people are using day to day in the broadcast environment, instead of focusing on new skills and new technologies and a cloud focus of how to do things. So when you go in, you're prepared, ready for that environment. Is that what you're trying to get, David?
Well, it's more at the end of the day, if something fails and you're being asked to fix this, if you're I understand it's paused. If your entire interaction with it has been through a UI and not having a deeper understanding of what's happening behind the scenes, how is that knowledge being given?
I'm not entirely sure. Like, we need to go and find a student to go and ask.
Yeah.
Really? Let's go and find one to go and ask.
Let's do that. Let's go and find I think Lawrence was getting a couple of people set up, and Ren said they'd talk as well. So let's go and find someone.
Let's see what they're learning, right? Because who knows? They might just be learning software, right? They might be learning vMix is the free online tool for software-based mixing instead of actually having a vision mixer, right?
vMix, yeah, I've used vMix. I mean, I did that thing I did last year, the Ripe Tomatoes thing. We used vMix as but that's more of a presentation tool.
Yeah.
It's more of it's more of a VJ type presentation tool.
So let's go and find out. Let's find out what exactly they're learning first, and that can answer your question, David.
Yeah. Let's do that, and let's see if we can have a little pause while we go and do that. Do you want to? So we shortly, and hello, I'm unmuted. Were we muted there for a second, David? I don't know what happened. Okay. Not sure what's happening there. It's absolute chaos, but we will prevail.
Do you guys want to?
We will find something.
Planet media around what you're studying today and what you're being taught in class. Is that all right?
Come back. We love using this group as a testing bed for new tech.
I hope I'm not committing career suicide here.
Live production, 3 cameras running at the moment.
More of an open source kind of mechanism.
I have no idea
We're using cheap, off-the-shelf encoders. We get it to the cloud. The goal here is to make this work on a phone, on a laptop, and a tablet.
If we can get live production to a space where it's actually cheap and accessible, then it unlocks a whole load of creativity.
Press subscribe.
Cloud native media seems like the right way to go.
Oh, hello. So I am here with a fresh victim. So, what's your name? Favourite colour? Where'd you come from?
Jason Orange, Wolverhampton.
Oh, Wolverhampton.
Well, studying in Manchester from Wolverhampton.
Studying Manchester. And so you're a student at Salford here, are you?
Yes, media technology.
Media technology. Which year?
Third year, final year.
Final year.
The big scary one.
Big scary one. And how's it been for you?
The university, very good. The course, very good. Definitely made even better by my wonderful tutor Lawrence, which if you keep interviewing, you will hear non-stop about.
Okay.
Because like half the people here know him.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. I mean, I met Lawrence earlier. He seemed like a fairly on it kind of guy.
He is.
And maybe we'll even get him behind the camera in a bit. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I was a student at Salford, rather longer ago than I care to admit. But this was a wasteland here at the time. The Media City didn't exist, and I was based over in the main campus over in Peel Park, I did audio technology. So I mean, people like Trevor Cox was. He was a tutor of mine. That was a long time ago, and it was a very different place then, and certainly we didn't have all of this, and we didn't have the same technology. I mean, I guess if I think about the technology we were using then, we were just like the new thing was like a digital audio desk, right? So
The new thing was moving to the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, no, there was no Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi didn't exist. Yeah, we didn't do Wi-Fi. There was no Wi-Fi.
We did floppy disks.
Yeah, we did. We had floppy disks, and we had. I mean, email was a bit nerdy. I'll be honest back then. So yeah, I mean, and in broadcast and media, in audio, the technology changes have been radical in that. In that intervening time. The idea of using automation on the scale that we do today for the idea of TV being on PCs, I think PCs could play a little microscopic bit of video in the middle for about 5 seconds. So it was a very different world in that respect. But I was just talking to Mark earlier, really, about how do you think the university experience is setting you up for what you want to do afterwards and where you want to go with it?
Well, firstly, it's definitely helping me figure out what sectors there are, because before the course, before this, I obviously knew I wanted to do something film related, but on the engineering side, because I'll be honest, I'm not that creative as a person. But I hadn't considered half the stuff, like what is an OB electrical wiring engineer? Like, that's a job I can get.
What does that involve?
Well, that's a Sparky. That's an electrician for outside broadcast vehicles, which are just big lorries that are mobile filming bays for when you need to film the Olympics or a big world event like a coronation.
Yeah. So
it's a mobile media management hub buzzword.
And that's quite I guess that's considered quite an old school way of doing things now, isn't it?
Well, not really.
Not really. Still very common.
The first one was made 1915 for military applications, and it was literally out of the back of a milk van. And nowadays, you've got 18-wheelers and 16-wheelers with like 30, 40.
So companies
4K,
like MP, for example, and
4K cameras with full fiber. They've got satellites, and it's they'll come a long way, and they'll be sticking around for as long as we're filming stuff on site.
Yeah. So I guess we've had a lot of talk recently about kind of these up and coming productions where you can do streaming 5G cameras, streaming direct to cloud, doing vision mixing with in the cloud, maybe with vMix or whatever the cloud tools we have. I mean, we had the little clip there we played before we had you on was our we did this thing with David Atkins a couple of years ago with their cloud vision mixing solution. And I guess what's really interesting, and I worked on the Olympics in Tokyo, and I didn't go to Tokyo or to Beijing, but I worked on for Eurosport. I worked on the back end, and we sent a lot of kit out there. We sent containers and containers worth of kit, and people had to go out and set it up and configure it and test it, and it was a really massive operation.
That's another thing I was on about earlier, like setting up all going to the place and setting up all that kit. Someone's got to do that. That's a job. You don't think about it until you go, someone's got to go do that.
Someone's got to go do that.
That's what I could be doing.
And the great thing about sport, of course, is that it's got to work, right? Because
someone's got to do it.
And I mean, again, I was talking to Mark about this just a little bit earlier, which is you don't get to replay the sporting moment if the camera's pointing in the wrong direction, right? So the camera's got to work. The whole setup's got to work.
Yeah, well, that's why you have 40 of the buggers.
You've got to get all that streaming recorded back to base, or whatever it is the setup's going to do. It's got to work at the moment, because if you miss the moment, it's gone, right? You miss the moment. You miss the moment. So when sport's going to happen, but you've just got to make sure that you're ready for it when it does, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's that sort of putting on a show element, a bit like we are tonight, isn't it? That's putting on a show element. That sort of you've got to make things work in the moment. You've got to be you've got to make sure it's reliable and resilient, and it's not like you get a second chance, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, very rarely do you get a second chance, which is a scary thing in this industry, because if once the snowball's rolling, it's scary.
It's about that live discipline.
Yeah, but risk it for a biscuit. Let's get to it.
So do you think that because we talked earlier about AI and how AI is going to change everything, which we keep hearing, but ultimately what Mark said was that operational discipline and knowing how to make things work and knowing how things have to work. That's kind of really important, regardless of whatever tech you're using under the hood, right?
I mean, yeah. Like operational knowledge, just media literacy in general.
Yeah.
Like knowing the basics of ports and the basics, even just the basic command line to kill a process. Media discipline as well, like electronic discipline, which, speaking of AI, that is got a problem nowadays. I feel like we should probably rein it back with the amount we're using it.
Who's we in that respect?
We as in the
human race.
The people. I don't personally use it. I'm too autistic too.
So do you feel like that's part of the industry that's kind of overhyped right now? Is that this whole
definitely?
Yeah.
I there's a lot of money being pumped in and a lot of stuff being pumped in, but a lot of it's not turning a very big profit, and a lot of it boils down to why do we have this? And the great answer they give is
well, and technology's got to be a solution to a problem, right? Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, you can't have a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. Like, it's not a problem that we haven't discovered yet. The problem just straight up doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And
okay. I mean, I think I went to a presentation a couple of weeks ago with some guys from Norsk, and they did this. They presented their sort of AI-driven vision mixing solution. So I think their market is, they're thinking of lower league sports, and where you could actually have a bunch of cameras feeding into. They were using Google Gemini, a bunch of cameras feeding feeds in, and the model could decide which ones to flip to. So it's a sort of human in the loop assisted, but nevertheless it's got automation around which view to show.
Yeah, I feel you raised a very good point there. Assisted. I feel like that's the line we need to draw.
Okay, yeah,
because with AI right now, it's AI led, and I really feel like it needs to be AI assisted.
So is that like the open claw saga and everything else, right?
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
That's my professional and personal opinion. It should be AI assisted, not AI led.
So this is about solving problems, helping you do a job. Automating things that are awkward.
And more so taking the faff out of what can be taken out of.
Yeah.
While still retaining the human element.
Yeah.
Hence, you want your AI to assist you, not do your job for you, because then, where's the human element? It's gone.
So I guess, I mean, an example that we came up with previously was, you know, action replays, for example, in a sporting event. If the goals happened at the moment, you know, in the traditional way that you would have someone using EVS, a skilled operator, they're quite expensive, they're quite rare. They need to be trained, especially and an expert on being able to use the jog wheels and use all the kit to say, okay, let's go and grab that goal and make the action replay happen. And obviously that's a very specific niche. But I guess what you could be doing with an AI model is a model can know what a goal looks like and know what an action replay involves, and it can be made much easier to do that.
Yeah, to further on the example you gave, it could be, instead of AI, you know, mix this football game, it could be, AI, I want a slow-mo of the third goal, and then it will get it. Yeah. It is assisting you, but it is not doing your job for you.
So that could be great for making a highlights package, for example.
Yes,
right.
And it still leaves the job of the operator, and it still gives the human element of the EVS operator, but it helps them where instead of needing 4 to 6, you need 3 or 2.
So I think I would agree with you in that what I've done with AI, I've reached the conclusion, and I've tried various things. I've reached the conclusion that AI is very bad at judgment. AI
can give you surprisingly stupid.
It is surprisingly bad at judging humor, for example. It's surprisingly bad at judging what works, what doesn't, what's good, what's bad. It can give you ideas, and it can give you trends. I mean, I work with a guy called Phil Turner, who's an AI movie generator. His stuff is absolutely quite fascinating what he's done. But I remember talking to him, and he was very adamant that he didn't use AI for ideas. So his line was, no, the ideas are all mine, the visions are all mine. AI makes the video for me, right? And he said, I wouldn't use AI for the ideas because it's not very good at that. And that was, I found that quite an interesting take, because I've heard a lot of stories of people trying to use ChatGPT to give them ideas or what have you. And it was very interesting to hear that very hard line on that. I'm just not doing it because it's not very good. And I noticed that in the stuff that I've done with it as well, and a bit of writing, a bit of image generation. Actually, the best AI stuff has been me realizing using AI to realize my idea rather than using it to generate ideas. So it's and I think it's that judgment call. I mean, like we've all heard those stories about OpenClaw over the last few weeks, or whatever it was called, Mortbot, or whatever it was called before, Claudebot. It had so many names. Right?
Claude.
So all right. Well, I think that's absolutely fascinating. Let's have a look at I'm just glancing at my list of questions to see if we could ask you anything else.
Well, far away. I don't know.
Oh well, yeah. Well, I mean, do you want to work for a broadcaster, a vendor, a startup, or what's your?
That would be nice.
Which of those, I guess, is
something I'm hoping to go into in the future is orbital instruments.
Okay.
Which is, I don't know if you keep up with the news, but NASA and ironically the Chinese space programs have, I say, discovered the physics. They're working out the physics for having suspended orbital platforms, and it's I guess stuff in orbit and stuff in space, satellites, spaceships, guns, weapons, stuff like that is just really cool. And it's, you know.
So I met someone called Johan Bolin back in December, and he used to work at Atelier before. Did you hear about Atelier Media? What do they call Atelier last year? When
Rings a bell.
Yeah, they went a bit skew-if, let's say. But I had a chat with him. So he left them and he sued them, I think, or something like that. I'm not sure if it was actually sued, but he took them to some sort of tribunal. Anyway, not talking about that. He went and worked for a company called Vidhance in Sweden, and he said that they're actually. So you think about image detection in Ukraine,
that
for
is,
example.
Yeah, I am aware that the job market I'm hoping to go into is probably quite far in the future, so I will probably go into military applications, especially with my family's background in military.
Okay, so you've got a family background there too, right?
Yeah. Granddad helped a lot of Air Force generals during the Cold War, and his father was a fuel manager in World War II. Bit of family history. So I will probably end up going into military applications if all, cross fingers, if all goes well.
Well, and of course we overlook that. Obviously, the broadcast industry is famously only thinks about itself, and we overlook there's actually this video. These video skills we've got are hugely applicable to those industries where you're thinking about drones. People talk about drones, but every drone's got a video feed, right? That's what it is.
If you boil down an industry, you boil down the industry of the military complex. What is it? It's shooting people, getting people places, and talking to people. And talking to people, how's that done? Satellites, radar, signals, and that's what I like.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I will probably,
So, have you? You're familiar with Starlink, of course, and Amazon Leo, they call it there.
Yes.
The other one, yeah.
Now we're getting into some personal feelings with Starlink.
Okay, well, we don't have to talk about Elon.
Thank God. I have very harsh, very not safe for broadcast words that I would like to say about that muskrat. Okay, but Starlink as a whole.
Yeah.
On one hand, it's very nice and very cool what they're doing, especially with I don't know if you heard about it, VLO, very low Earth skimmers, where they kind of inhale hydrogen from the air and they use it as propellant for themselves.
Okay.
So they can stop them falling out of the sky. But on the other hand, that's a lot of pollution that is, you can't really go up there with a cherry picker and pull 1,000 derelict satellites out of the sky.
Yeah. So what's that? What's that? There's a name for it, isn't it? Where all the satellites crash into each other and the world ends.
Yes.
I forget it. It's got a special name.
So have I. Oh my God.
But everyone's always worried about that, right?
Well, it is quite a scary thing because this. I'm assuming that this is being broadcast on the internet.
Yeah.
If that happens, then the only internet connections you get is through cables in the ground. That's it. Cables in the ground. No more towers. No more GPS. Everyone always goes, "Oh, we'll lose GPS. That's fine." No more emergency services. No more long-range Wi-Fi. No more data roaming, as well as no more mapping. A lot of ecological stuff that uses stuff like thermal imaging and like wildlife conservation. All that's going to go, and we may never launch to space again. And that's a big problem, especially when in the very far future we want to go from Earth.
Let's hope the collision detection works. It doesn't come to that.
Hopefully. I hope.
Cool. All right. And so your interest is then in that sort of hardware operations space.
Yeah.
OB truck type stuff, and software is not something you've really encountered.
I don't mind software. It's just it tends to get the better of me.
Okay. In what way?
Well, I mean, I'm not one for superstition, but I am haunted by a couple gremlins that anytime anything software related comes up, it always seems to go horribly wrong for me.
Oh, okay.
So I try to avoid it where I can, more sort of prior experience. And also because, you know, if it goes wrong, you yell at it. If something goes wrong with hardware, you can at least hit it with a hammer.
It's true. It's true.
You know.
All right. So, fair enough. I guess, is there anything else that you want to add? Anything else that are you looking forward to the speakers tonight?
Yeah. I mean, I was pretty much held at gunpoint and told to be here by my tutor, so
okay.
I hope.
Is that Lawrence?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, not actual, you know. I'm
Not
joking,
actual,
but it was
well,
like.
Well, it is Salford.
Yeah. I guess I'll be knife point. But yeah, I hope I was a good enough yapper.
Well, yeah, thank you. It's always interesting which way this goes. I think Mr. Ed's going to come and talk to us right in a moment, but he's
Yeah. Sorry,
so-
I went on some tangents
Thank
there.
you, Jason. Was it?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I remember the name. That's rare for me. But thank you, Jason. It's been entertaining.
It has
And,
been for me. Lovely to meet you.
Interesting to know all about your OB trucks,
And satellites.
and yeah.
And assume that you want your lapel back.
Oh yes, we'll be
Nope,
needing that,
it
won't
fell
we?
off.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all good. So thank you very much. Great to talk to you. So, Mr. Ed,
Hello, Mr. Markham.
how are you? Oh, you've got a badge for me.
I've got a badge for you because this
Oh.
is a networking event and no one knows who you are.
Do they not know who I am? Have they not seen the show?
They haven't seen your daily LinkedIn posts, obviously. I'm sure they have. Anyway, hello, stream.
How are you? How are you finding it so far?
I'll get a sticker off it.
Who I can't even put a sticker off
Failed.
the face. Say absolute fail.
Oh dear.
How's it been with you?
Very good, thank you. I only got here about 15 minutes ago, but it's pretty full, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
quite busy.
Well, Jason was just saying that Lawrence made all the students come. So there you go.
Well, I'm sure there's plenty of people
gunpoint
who've
or something.
come from further afield, so quite rightly so.
Yeah.
It'd
Well,
be silly not to, really. But I think it's right to force people to come if they don't know what's good for them.
well, my train from London was was very very easy, really.
Well, I left home at 4:30 this morning and in the car, so it was bloody awful. It was,
Okay, fair enough. Well, we won't talk about that. What we'll talk about is what skills. So you train people, right, Ed? And what are the skills gaps in the industry? So we keep hearing about skill shortages. We keep hearing about people being out of work. We keep hearing about students. I mean, student courses closing, students not being interested in studying media and broadcast. So what are the skills gaps that you're seeing?
well, you
where
did
is
just
that?
outline the conflict. You said there's a skills gap, and there's loads of people out of work. That
Yeah.
kind of doesn't really tally, does it?
So what's that all about?
and
Explain that to me.
It's a tricky bit. I think someone I spoke to basically said there's not a skills shortage, there's a money shortage. The industry hasn't got as much money as it used to have, and therefore those roles, when you're recruiting people, they have to be right for the role, and there's an obsession at the moment in the management that people have to have skills of IP networking that perhaps people who've been in broadcast technical roles forever don't have currently. So there's lots of free training online for building your knowledge on IP networking. That you go to the Dante online certification and stuff. That's all pretty good. Netgear have got quite a few. I think people who are out of work should be building up their IP knowledge for sure, because in any technical role you need that networking knowledge. But without the underlying video and audio program making knowledge, IP network isn't enough. And
So this is what I was talking about with Mark Pitto a bit earlier, which was you kind of need that baseline in understanding how video and audio works, about how productions work, and that's where whatever tooling you're using, even if you're using AI for stuff, it's not really that useful if you don't have that baseline level, right?
if you're involved in any sort of media service, whether it's online or traditional linear services or whatever, you still need to understand how a viewer interacts with it, how they experience the loudness levels of going from one program to another to a live stream. If there's different shifts in audio, different shifts in picture quality, no one's going to want to watch that stream or service. It's, you still need to understand the basics of broadcasting, whether it's done with SDI or IP or NDI or any of these protocols. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Hello.
But yeah. Oh, here we go.
Oh, we've got
Karis is talking.
Karis is talking.
Karis is talking. Sorry, it's the live stream.
It's all right. You can say hello.
Quick. I need you to make some noise in a minute. It'll make sense when I ask the question. If you are still hungry, whoop now.
Woo! Woo!
Okay, that's the vibe. Great. If you have not picked up your badge and checked in, please go and do so right now this second. I'll be back.
Thank you. All right, that was.
I probably needed to tick you off a list.
That was a good
I
interjection.
picked up your badge, but I didn't tick you off a list. So
Did you not tick me off? Oh.
we were trying to count up how many people are here by looking at the badges, and I spotted that yours was there. And
I was. I think I got here.
here.
I got here earlier. Although I didn't get here early enough to set everything up that I wanted. But I got here. I got here earlier. So yes. So there we are. So where were we before we were so rudely interrupted?
We were talking about skill shortages and
Oh, yeah.
role shortages.
Oh yeah,
and,
that's right. Skill
Yeah,
shortages.
it's a tricky one. It's a really tricky one.
So, I mean, I guess my impression of it is that AI has kind of caused this sort of pause by everyone. Everyone's just sort of holding their breath, going, "Well, what's this going to mean then?" And I think the answer is ultimately, in the short term, not very much, because ultimately, yes, we need to make use of AI, or if we don't, then you will be left behind. There's a lot of AI FOMO out there, right? And I think we're definitely seeing and hearing about that. But ultimately, I think if we particularly think about live production, operationalizing AI into doing live production at scale, that's going to be quite a lot of work and quite a lot of proving, however we approach it, right? And I guess it's not. And I totally understand why some industries are kind of really holding their breath and holding back and saying, well, this is going to change the way we do everything. And it will. But ultimately, I think for the way we do stuff in particularly, as I say, live production, it's not going to change that much that quickly, is it?
I don't think so, because you want the human interaction of knowing people's stories.
Yeah.
As soon as you know that this is completely made up and these people don't exist, you lose the emotional connection. You don't really want to watch that.
Yeah.
Certainly that's the way I felt when I've heard about music on Spotify that's AI generated. It's like, well, this is, okay, it might sound like a certain genre, but it's not something I want to invest time in understanding or following. So I think media is going to be the same thing. AI generation is just going to accelerate the creation, and it might shortcut processes and make certain things be able to be created easier. But that's a very small part of the overall technical ecosystem that is to make services and media services and marketing them and all the kind of the work that goes around managing those media entities.
So on the in the conversation I had with Jason earlier, we were talking about how AI is actually really poor at judgment, and that can be obviously technical judgment, but also creative judgment, right? Because I know a couple of people who do AI video, for example, and I've talked to one of them, and they're very adamant that they don't use AI to generate ideas, because AI is not very good at ideas, because it's not very good at judging what ideas are good ideas and what ideas are bad ideas. It just splurges them out. I mean, I think we've seen that in the slot online and everything else, that actually and actually even the best AI slop channels on YouTube, if you like, they are humor channels, and they've clearly had a human behind them going, well, that's funny, let's do that, right? And so again, we're seeing that idea of judgment. And so I wonder how that translates into, for example, live production, when and I suppose your AI is going to be able to judge when to switch cameras, for example, on a sporting event, because if it's a football match, then you follow the ball, and that sort of thing's quite formulaic. But I guess when it gets to stuff that's a bit more that requires a bit more judgment, I think our experience so far is that AI is not really very good at that judgment.
Yeah, you can certainly train an AI on certain sports content, and it can do an okay average coverage of a sports event, but it'll never get the crowd cutaways appropriate. It'll never get the emotion of the players who's just been fouled or whatever. It's never going to be quite that good. It'll be good, but good enough. And certainly that's been in use now for 7 or 8 years. People have been doing AI sports production in some of the lower tier kind of collegiate sports in the US. There are companies out there doing that. And it works.
It works. Yeah. Fair enough. And I suppose it is solving a problem, because those are probably productions that wouldn't happen.
They wouldn't happen without it.
They wouldn't happen without it.
That was before the AI bubble that was happening. That was just called training cameras on models and having two 8K images stitched together with a dynamic panning and tilting and all that. It doesn't. These technologies have existed for a while now.
And so let's talk about cloud. And so that's something that you've been loosely connected with, doing stuff with for a long time as well. How do you think cloud has changed the way that we do things, and where do you think that's going next?
I think cloud's been actually useful to help people understand what they're actually trying to achieve. There was a rush to the cloud, and then realized people understand the costs of that. I've certainly heard of a number of big broadcasters who've reined in their cloud aspirations and pulling it back to more of a data center software aspirations, maybe on private data center style operations. So not necessarily public cloud, but so it's been useful for experimentation. It's absolutely been useful for kind of helping people try out new things and for new platforms to evolve, but it's still expensive. I don't think it's suitable for everything, but it's great for some things,
Yeah,
as it should be.
It's the right
nothing special.
It's the right job. So, I mean, when people talk about cloud native, so are you familiar? You're familiar with the DMF project and with TAMS and with all of those kinds of things? Because I think what's really interesting about those things, and when obviously this is cloud native media, we like to talk about cloud, but we like to talk about cloud native because it feels like we've reached a certain level of maturity with this stuff, where we've gone from the sort of full vendor dive in with AWS, and there was a bit of Microsoft, and they gave up, and Google have been sort of on the side, and Oracle have been trying to persuade people to go with them too, but it felt very much for a time like it was all about just come and use some vendor tools, right? And look, there are some things, particularly in AWS, which Media Connect is a great tool, Media Live's a great tool. They've got a great bunch of tools there, but at the same time, it's starting to feel like we've now got in particularly with DMF, we've now got the basis of actually this is how we can do software-defined production at scale. And as you say, it doesn't matter whether it's public cloud or private cloud, wherever it works, and that's what you want. You want it to be commoditized, right?
Yeah. That's all. We talk about cloud native media. We don't mean public cloud native or anything. We just mean abstractable, deployable, software-based services that don't care about where you deploy them. They're flexible. That's the point. Now, early on, cloud native did mean, oh look, AWS have got some database services that do all of that stuff for us. Oh look, they've got all these Media Connect services that do all of this stuff for us. They simplify our path to making a product, which is great in a prototype stage. But then it locks you in and ties you in and makes you unable to move to different platforms. So I think more and more people are realizing now that being cloud agnostic, deploying stuff in Kubernetes type deployments and all of those software models that can deploy in AWS one day. But if you had to pivot and maybe you require a few months development to change to Azure or private cloud or whatever, I think people are always thinking that way now. They don't want to be too locked into AWS.
I guess, like you said before, it's the right tool for the job, isn't it? And ultimately, you don't want to spend a lot of time building a product that's very, very locked into one cloud.
Don't reinvent the wheel. If there's a mechanism to manage security authentication on the cloud platform, you do it with AWS when you're on AWS, and you do it with Azure when you're on Azure.
Well, there was a time when you started to feel like there was no point in building stuff in AWS because ultimately AWS would end up building the same thing eventually anyway. There was a period we went through like that where AWS kept launching new services, and you're like, oh, we did something that did that last month. Oh, that was a waste of time. and I think that put a few people off. I think that's slowed down a lot though. I think actually, and look, the AWS tools, some of them are very useful building blocks, but ultimately, I think that the DMF and the TAMs and other initiatives are available, like LPX and there's what the MBPS and MBPS and NMPS, whatever that one is. Yeah, I've forgotten the acronym, but the one I work for it hasn't really been adopted, but it's an ISO standard.
It's a live stream. We can be interrupted,
but we're going to interrupt the Vicarious again. And we're going to have to be.
It's almost time.
We're going to have to be wrapping up soon.
Another beer.
Yeah,
there's a lot of talking going on, which is awesome.
It's always good.
We're going to kick off the main session at 7. So could you start to make your way?
I need another piece of pizza.
Round the corner to the left.
Well, I haven't had any of either, but hey, maybe you can get me some.
I think that's quite.
Don't take your pizza.
We'll be handing back to David, I'm sure, shortly.
Hello.
Maybe we can
come and say hello to the live stream.
Yeah, say hello. Say hello. Thank you, Ed.
Hello. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Ed. I was going to try and get Lawrence for a second there. Lost Lawrence. I think we've had a couple of good chats here. David, are you still with us? Have you been listening in?
Very much so. Yeah, still here.
So. Good conversations. So we had Jason, we had Mark, we had Ed. I think people are starting to go into the venue now. So I was hoping to get Lawrence, who's the tutor, but I think he's run away from me. So I think we're going to have to call it there, David. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us here live at the SMPTE Young Innovators North event in Salford. If you're here or if you're coming here later, maybe I'll see you around. If not, then please, you may have this live stream. You may be watching next year. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been interesting. And good night here from Media City in Salford. Thank you. Press subscribe. Just say press subscribe. He'll go away.
Press subscribe.